How are you all today? Looky, where's my shirt? Happy St. Patrick's Day. I almost said Thank Patrick's Day. Look at my earrings. I had a lot of fun. I wear these a little bit in March. And then my bracelet, I let one of my grandkids borrow my sparkly hat, and then we found out they couldn't wear hats at school. But I want to share some things with you today. I'm going to share some talents that I have that you don't really know about. And I haven't actually been busy enough. And I realize that I have gifts and talents that I need to share. And so this is about that. In the last few weeks, I've known I want to start working again part-time. And I haven't known exactly. Well, I've been pondering what to do. My kids keep saying, Mom, tell them about what you know how to do. Tell them about your RFA process and your other things you know how to do. And I'm like, no. And then I just feel like I should. So I'm going to say a few things. But I've been having some dreams about working with children, about having fun with children again. And I totally got burned out. Some of you know that I taught in my little preschool daycare in my last home. And it was quite a bit. It opened at 7 and it was till 5 or 5:30, sometimes 6 at some points. And I didn't take weeks off for vacation. I took off holidays, and I took off maybe another day connected to a holiday for 11 years. That's a long time. And I wasn't a person who was sick. I took off one sick day when my left knee developed arthritis problems. If I needed to go someplace or went to some seminars for my own growth, then I hired a substitute. So I was very conscientious with the children that I served and that I worked with. And I loved it. But then I got burned out. And so I knew I needed to do something new. We sold our home. And then the previous year to these 2 years of being home, I worked at Orchard Elementary. And they wanted me to come back again. But when I found out that I had to wear a mask, and when I found out that children did, and I would be having to supervise them and make sure they wore one too, I just told them I can't go against my conscience. But now that children can wear a mask or not at school, they get to choose. I think, and I put my resume in it for working in preschool at Granite School District or being a substitute. Or I wouldn't mind working a little part-time job with someone who has some cute kiddos that needs a little bit of care after school or something. That might, and in the dreams I've been having lately, and I've had quite a few of them, I've been working with children. And it's been fun. It's been fun and lively, laughing and enjoying. And some of you who have maybe seen my videos throughout the 2 years I've been, or 2+ years I've been making them, you'll know that I have a creative part of me, a creative spark and a fun part of me. And so I'm going to use that somehow. But I wanted to let you know about a process that I learned how to do let's say about 24 years ago. Now, looking back at time, oh my gosh, how the Lord, in my life, the Lord has directed me. Well, first off, when my husband and I, we were studying the last days, like 30 years ago. We were married 41, so it may have been more than 30 years ago. But in our first home, we were studying the last days, and then I studied about Isaiah, and then I read the important clues in the Book of Mormon about Isaiah that say that that it's going to be someone who understands the manner of the Jews. Because the Jews, they use types and shadows way different than we so-called Gentiles, than we non-Jewish people. We aren't taught that way. And Christ also said to search Isaiah. So we're at this point in time where everyone in scriptures, they stop talking. They say, oh, I can't talk about it. John the Revelator is going to, or there's new scriptures coming, or, things like that. And anyway, so at that time, I don't know how I came in contact with him, but I came in contact with someone named Abraham Gileadi. And I learned about types and shadows. And when he was first starting, and I actually went down to classes that he taught. And then I started being able to how to decode and to understand how Isaiah, just like the scripture said, he's prophesied what has been and what shall be. And so I love that. I studied everything about that, had quite a few very spiritual experiences studying Isaiah. And during that time, I had a lot of dreams come back to me that I'd had when I was younger. It was just knowings, and I wrote them down sometime I'll share them. And then following that, we moved to a new home in West Valley, and I was feeling depressed about some things. But I've never ever been so depressed that I can't work or can't get up. And I've always taught preschool. And then I learned an emotional release process called relaxed focused attention. And when my husband, he was feeling some pain in his body, and he went through traditional methods and they couldn't find any answers. Then I started listening to a talk show on K-Talk, and it was Jack Stockwell. And Jack Stockwell, he's a chiropractor, and an upper cervical chiropractor. And that's where I learned a lot on his shows about how the big pharma, and about how he'd be very leery of big pharma and the FDA and stuff like that, that they approve things that aren't good. And, all of that and so I learned about certain drugs that are very bad for you. And I learned so much from him. And he also had on his show a man named Max Skousen. And Max Skousen was hosting some events, and so he told about him, and you could come. And so I came. And actually, when I was listening to him, I heard ever so clearly, Christine, he can help you. So what would you do? So I went. And I thought, oh my gosh, I want to learn from him. And so I spent the next, interestingly enough, at that time, I had a neighbor who wanted me, I taught preschool, and I had a neighbor who wanted me to watch her 2 children after school till she got home. And so the money that I earned watching her 2 children after I got home paid for the classes. And I think I spent $35 for an hour-and-a-half session, and I learned so much about myself. And I'm going to share that because I learned how to do those processes. And some of you might really be interested. Max Skousen, and his ideas and his teachings formed a pivotal shift that happened in my life. And I grew to understand so much more about how to reframe things that we go through. And the power of gratitude is phenomenal, is powerful. And so I spent the 2 years working with him. When he would come down, he lived in California, he'd come down and he'd set up sessions, he'd talk on Stockwell's show. And I would go, he would come down once a month, and I would come 2 times. He'd stay for a week at a friend's house, and I would come 2 times and set up sessions every month. So I did that for 2 years, and I bought his books. And I learned so much about myself and about the subconscious mind. So that's what I want to share with you. I want to share with you some things that I learned. After going through his training processes, when he wasn't there, he let people know that they could come to me and they could get an RFA with me. And I also started working with a chiropractor out in Clearfield. And every Friday, his secretary loved the RFA process. And every Friday, his secretary booked up appointments for me. So I would go down there every Friday. I had 2 in the morning and 2 in the afternoon. They were 1.5 hours each. And I paid $35 back then for 1.5 hour session. And I can truly say that this man, God sent this man to help me. Because I got to understand that the things that I thought were wrong with me. There's nothing wrong with me. That I was just fine. I had some subconscious glitches. And I learned a lot. And so I want to share what I know how to do. And so if any of you are interested, I live in Magna. My daughter moved. She had an office set up that she was working in. But she barely moved. And so that office, I have put my Norwegian things back in there. And I used to have an office in my old home, but I was busy doing preschool full time, so I didn't really do that. But so what I am good at is, so let me tell you. So if you have, your subconscious mind holds it knows all about you. It knows what you were thinking when you were in the womb, and I can do a new birth with you. I've done that with all my kids. When you were in the womb, guess what? You actually had ideas come to you. It was like your own little Garden of Eden. And then there was something that happened, you had a thought, oh, my dad doesn't want me, or my mom, or, there's all this, and so you get ideas that come to you from the people that you hear and that you sense, and you actually have worries. And so it's really fun to do a new birth, and you can actually go back and see how you felt. And I'm just a helper. I'm just a facilitator. I don't give you ideas. I don't do anything like that. It's all you. And the other thing, so I can do that. And let's say you have specific health issues. I had a lady come to me when I was at the chiropractor's office, and she had cancer. And so she wanted to come to see if there was some emotional reason for it. And she got to see through the process that we went through. When she was young, she got a lot of attention when she was sick. And so there were 3 things that came to her during our time together in an hour and a half. And we got to heal them. And the subconscious mind isn't like your left brain. Your subconscious mind is symbolic, Anyway, so we got to heal that. So if you have a disease that is a part of, there's most likely an emotional component to it. And that is what I can help with, because I will take you through a simple process. You're alert and awake. You're not under, nothing, nothing like that. You're always alert and awake. You just have your eyes closed. And it's just relaxed, focused attention. That's why it's called RFA. And allergies, I've been able to help a lot of people. One lady, when she used to make homemade bread, and then her husband died. And then she made homemade bread for herself when he was no longer there. And then all of a sudden she had stomach problems eating her homemade bread. And so she came in and we found out what it was. And it was just her feeling sad. And remembering how it was to eat this homemade bread with her husband, and then he was gone. So a lot of times, like if you have an allergy to something outside, maybe your dad got mad at you when you're outside, and the stuff from the trees are coming down. So all we have to do is make a new memory. Maybe you're allergic to cats. Maybe your neighbor cat died. And so, but still, I don't have anything to do with that. I just bring the process, and your own mind tells you what the answer is. I could also do this over the phone. I haven't really done that yet, but I could set my phone up here. I don't really want to do it over the computer. I guess I could learn how to do that. I have to have my daughter. I could figure it out. It's pretty easy. But anyway, so there's a lot of ways that for about 3 years, I did a lot of work with this relaxed, focused attention. I also learned something called body code, an energetic modality called body code. And so I often combine them together, and I just hear what needs to be done, and I just do whatever comes. Anyway, so those are some things that I know how to do. If you're interested, let me know. Message me. Because I realize I have a lot of skills and talents that I haven't really shared. My kids have been beneficiaries of them, and they have said so many times, Mom, I was benefited so greatly from what you did for me. Why don't you let people know? And it's just really and truly, I'm not a salesperson. I don't like to do that. I don't like to, but I just realized I need to be more busy in my life. I need to find value, and I love creating money. I mean, my whole life I've always worked. I've always taught preschool or did my emotional healing work or taught in the Granite School District, or like I was a para-professional at Orchard Elementary. Anyway, so I'm just letting you know what I'm about, and if you're interested, guess what? It's $40, $5 more than what I mean, I'm sure my kids will be like, why are you doing that, blah, blah, blah. Well, you know what? I don't like what's happening. I don't like how if you have a spot in your home and you charge $2,000 for a young couple to live in your basement, I think it's extortion. I don't like what's happening nowadays. I don't like how the prices are going up and up and up, and young people can't even afford to they're just so bogged down by all of this. I don't like that. I do want to earn money for my time because my time is valuable. And I realize I have spent, and I have loved spending the time talking with you and giving you a peek into my family. And I would like to be of value to you. I mean, there's so many ways, the subconscious. Another thing about the subconscious mind is sometimes there's 3 times in our life when we make decisions and they hang with us. One is, of course, when you're in the womb. Another one is when you're young, like a preschooler. Another one is like junior high. And another one is when you're getting to be an adult. And these decisions, these core decisions, they stay with you. Well, the first time I did an RFA with Max, he said, let's just do something that your mind wants to show you. And my mind showed me something that went back to when I was in 1st grade. And I was in a class, just sitting there on the front row. And back then, I really believed in the authority figures, and I believed everything they said was true, right? Because we're taught that. And now I actually believe that my own spirit and is very wise. And that is mostly my authority figure and God. Here you go, this way, this way. Anyway, so my teacher said, Christine, quit looking on this boy's page. And I wasn't looking on his page. Maybe I looked at him, but I wasn't looking to copy him. And she said, quit copying him. And it really, and who would think that that was such a big deal? But it set off this whole part of me that didn't feel very smart. And that's a big part of the challenges that I went through. Anyway, so I'm trying to make this little video quick and easy. And I just want you to know that I'm there for you. If there's something that you feel I could benefit you and me at the same time, $40 isn't too much skin off anybody's nose. And I hope that I can be of value to you. I have enjoyed working or making videos these past years, and I know that I need to be stepping into some other things right now. Thank you so much for listening. Have a great 17th of March, St. Patrick's Day. Bye.